Hi guys, welcome back to our Java video for Smith College. Today we'll be talking about if statements and loops. So last time we learned about something more complicated, which is how to define methods and how to call static methods. If you don't know how to do either of those two things, then I highly recommend you to look at my previous video. So if statements. If statements are really useful if you want to run specific code only under certain circumstances. And when we talk about if statements, we are usually talking about Boolean conditions. And what Boolean conditions mean are just true or false, if something is true or if something is false. So let's take a look at this Python code. Once again, I have this defined inside my main function of my Python code. And here I have a variable called iLikePy, and I set it equal to true. So if iLikePy is true, then I want to print out iLikePy. For all other cases, I want to print I don't like pi, such as when iLikePy is equal to false. So if I were to run this code right now by calling this main function, because iLikePy is set equal to true right now, I know that I'm going to get into this first block of code of if iLikePy equals true, and it'll print out iLikePy, and it'll skip over this else statement right here. So I want to note the difference between a single equal sign and a double equal sign. A single equal sign always denotes assigning a value to a variable, as we have seen in our first video regarding variables. Whereas double equal sign always denotes a Boolean condition, where it denotes an equality between two values. So it is, in this case, comparing the values between iLikePy and true. So is iLikePy equal to true? In this case, because I do assign it to be true, they are both true on the left-hand side and true on the right-hand side, so this equality holds true, which is why we are printing iLikePy. So this is how you write an if-else statement in Java, which we have here an if, like we did in Python, and we have the parentheses, as I have written in my Python code. However, in Python, parentheses are optional, whereas in Java, it is not. You always have to include a parentheses for all of your if statements. And then, in order to write whatever condition that happens, or like what code you want to execute in this if statement right here, you always enclose it inside the opening and the closing curly braces. And the same holds true for else, where you have the opening and the curly braces, and inside those curly braces are the code that you want to write and execute only in this else statement. So now let's write this in Java. This meaning this code right here. So here, I actually already have a conditionals.java class file already saved, so I want you guys to create that same exact file. And now I will write in this file, and we always want to import java.util.star. And we always enclose it inside our class container, which is the same name as the file name. And then I will define my main function. So if you have already looked at my methods video, then you should understand what public and void is doing for us inside our main function. So first, we need to define our iLikePy. Anytime in Java, you always have to declare and initialize your variable. So first, I'm going to be declaring my iLikePy to be a Boolean. And then I write my variable name, which is iLikePy, and I use a single equal sign to denote assignment of a value, and I'm going to be assigning it to be true. And I just forgot to mention that in Java, when you are writing true or false, you always lowercase everything. In Python, you have seen that we actually capitalize our T in true, and you would capitalize your F in false. In Java, it's strictly lowercase. And you can see that by highlighting it blue, but if I were to have written it like this, then this Java code does not recognize this version of true. And that's because it's syntactically incorrect. So now let's write our if-else statement. So we write our if, and we need our parentheses, and then we need our curly braces. So here are the basic structure, and in our parentheses, we need to write the condition that we want. In this case, we want iLikePy equals true. What will happen if it is equal to true? What happens is that we're going to print out that I do like pi. If I don't like pi, I write my else, and then I write my curly braces, and then I would write I don't like pi. So let's run this code. First, I have to compile it. Next, I have to run it. Perfect, I like pi. Now let's see what happens if I set it to false. I should expect this so that it'll get into this else statement and print out I don't like pi. Perfect, I don't like pi. And that is what we had expected. Now, let's look at, I just went over this, and this is the code that I just wrote. And there is actually a syntactically a better way of writing when something is true. So in this case, I had originally written if I like pi equals true. This is actually quite repetitive. So what we do is we just write our variable name if I like pi. So in this case, if I like pi is true, then I would print this out. And if I like pi is set to false, then obviously it's not going to get into this if statement, so it'll just skip that over. So you don't have to put the equals true to denote that it is true. And a lot of programmers actually omit that part out so that it doesn't have repetitive coding in there. So these are the basic logical operators in Java. The left-hand side, if they were lowercase, this would be the Python version of it, and then the right-hand side would be the Java operator version of it, which looks a lot less intuitive. So I would just highly recommend you guys to just memorize what these guys are. And I also just listed out a bunch of tables for how the AND operator works when you have P and Q as your conditions, where true is true. If you have false, true, and you use the AND operator, then it's going to be false, because both statement needs to be true in order for it to be true. We have the OR operator, and we have the exclamation point operator also listed out here. So if you don't understand these logical operators, I highly recommend you guys to go through these tables inside the slides. So we also have the mathematical operators here. They basically all look the same as Python. So, and also they also just look really similar to when you do your math homework and stuff.